continue on the road now towards Rabat and Casablanca, and it's a very agricultural area I'm in, but as I look into the wooded areas and the lands either side, the amount of human waste is incredible, but it's anything is better than after the last experience. The last experience was quite difficult. I think that's a polite way of putting it. Difficult was an understatement. I just don't know why people live in squalor. And you could be listening to this video and say, well, it's to do with money, it's to do with this. No, I'm sorry, but we've all got a form of transportation, whether it's using our legs or just getting a lift. We don't need to be sitting in the cities in the squalor. We just don't. And here there's good agricultural land and lots of farmers, lots of animals, and greenhouses and plantations. I'm sorry, but to survive in a city or to live in the countryside or to just be somewhere else, it's free choice. And we may in the world now not have freedom of speech, but in a lot of cases we do have freedom of choice. If you live in Morocco, you can walk to somewhere else if you have the ability of walking. You don't actually physically need money to be able to go somewhere else and start a new life for yourself and your family. I visited some undocumented places today when I was told I couldn't record with my camera, and I spoke and looked at some of the places where the families and the children, babies, were living, and I was upset. I shed more than just a few tears for what I saw. I don't consider it to be human life, but you may disagree with me. The main highway now down towards Rabat and Casablanca is clear, but it's no point speeding, it's no point doing something out of the ordinary, because there are so many police, but you will get stopped and you will get yourself into trouble, even though the police are very nice to talk to, and the people were fantastic, beautiful people. The difference is that it's just the way in which certain parts of the world wish to live, and I've been to some pretty desperate places, and this isn't so much desperate as some of the places I visited, but the poverty is about the same when you live in a cardboard or corrugated shed with no running water, no amenities, and you sweep the soil outside from the dog shit and the cats. It's pretty much the same whether you're in the slums of India or the slums of Morocco. They are all slums, and they're all people, beautiful people. Now I'm about 80 kilometers from Rabat, and again, nice area, and they're growing a lot of vegetables, fruits, and there's a lot of greenhouses. And I've just stopped off at a service station, and there was people just selling fresh raspberries, blueberries, everything. And when I see this vast area of basically fresh fruit growing and fresh vegetable growing, and I've just been to the cities where people are living in slums, isn't it better to be out here in the countryside living your life rather than to be in the slums? You must have ability to work, and these places must have the ability of having people, but even if they can't afford to pay them, they can have them there free and let them have a little place where they can build a small place in the middle of nowhere, a lot more hygienic than the areas I've been to. As I say, beautiful landscapes of fruit growing and greenhouses for as far as the eye can see here on the coast. But again, I still haven't seen a house in which you would, in the West, call a home. Here are so many people crossing from one side to the other as well, because there is no bridges, taking their life in their hands. And here to my right hand side is a townstead. But just look at the rubbish. People playing in amongst just hordes and hordes of animals and shit and crap. I mean, I just can't believe what I see. This is just piles of human waste. Piles and piles and piles of human waste. Anyway, we just managed to go past a bridge which people could cross on, but they decide to cross on the side of the road, this highway. There you can see people with their stuff. I mean, this is a fantastic drive and the most brilliant experience here on this road to Rabat and Casablanca. I'm enjoying every minute of taking, but so far I've not met a single person that isn't nice, pleasant or beautiful in some way or another. Just beautiful people in an environment which is, how can I put it, being like it is because of education, I suppose. I don't understand people living in squalor and walking the streets of rubbish. If he around his own door swept, the city would be clean. Well, I'm getting off the road again because from the highway I cannot believe what I see. I don't believe it. So I'm getting off the highway, I'm going to pay my toll, and I'm going to see what I'm seeing to see whether it's true. And by the looks of things, it is. I'm just going to show you along the highway here. You have to be ready for this. You're getting through a police checkpoint to come in here, and once you're in here you feel slightly wary, to say the least, whether you're going to get out of this place even with your life. Already feeling nervous. This is Morocco. I don't know whether you can see what I'm seeing, but this is just piles of human waste with goats and shit as far as the eye can see. The goats are eating plastic, paper, and this goes on for miles and miles and miles. Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, please tell me this is not correct. Please tell me that this is not what I'm looking at. The cows, I've seen them just eating human waste. And this isn't an isolated situation. This is all over Morocco. Well, going through another toll after toll after toll, and of course, what do we see? The police. The roads going into Rabat were actually perfect, beautiful roads, but of course the moment we came off the highway, the police stopped me and wanted to see my papers. Here on both sides of the road, it is absolutely spotless. People walking along, picking up the rubbish. But of course, you realise that this is just a way of showing a nice entrance into the city. They're there with their leaf blowers, making everything look beautiful. But that doesn't account for the towns and villages along the way. And nor does it account for what I'm likely to see in Rabat. The city of Rabat is my next stop, and police everywhere. Well, in the end I decided not to go into Rabat. Once I got to a few roundabouts and it was full of people sounding their horn and being frustrated. And after all, it is just another city, and I'm not really here to study cities. I'm actually here to look at villages and towns and the way people live, the poorer people. So the gardeners along the road and the security and the police and the army, all very, very sweet and nice, but it isn't actually what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the poorer end of life and civilization. So I'm back onto the main road soon to Casablanca, which is where I'm going and the city I'm interested in going to. Well, I've come off the road again to another metropolis here, building new houses, regenerating, giving people, of course, nothing but debt. Even coming into here, there was police stopping people. Dogs on the road. And what I'm looking for here is the seaside. I'm wondering what it's going to be like down at the coast. I don't know whether these are holiday apartments or what they are, but loads of men just walking around, and just an eerie feeling, everywhere around here. It's getting dark and it's 57 kilometers to Casablanca. It's been a long old day, stopping and starting. I'm looking forward to getting into the city, and then of course I'll give you a tour around. But this has been an experience, a very big experience. I'm now on the outskirts of Casablanca. It's around about 6 o'clock in the evening, and it's just cars piled up. Cars after lorries piled up on the way in to Casablanca. Welcome to the metropolis of a city. I have to ask once again, why do people live, dwell and survive in a city? It's incredible. Well, I'm on my way through now into the centre of Casablanca. I've got to say the city's confused, to say the least, when it comes to driving. No one seems to abide by the rules, which no different than half of the undeveloped or partly undeveloped countries of the world. But moving around in rush hour, quite difficult. But anyway, we move forward. As I say, rules and regulations. And the city, like all of Morocco that I've seen so far, is just going through massive redevelopment. Everything seems to be redevelopment. New buildings, selling villas in the middle of nowhere that, well, I just don't know. I don't know who's purchasing them, why they would buy them, but you go into the most terrible areas and they're putting up a new complex of villas, beach view, and it's miles from the beach. Well, this is the way it is. You know, the world is in 2025 pretty goddamn strange. No understanding. But like I say here, it's just building site after building site, confusion, destruction. It's incredible. And the way that people are living, and the blocks of concrete that people call home, is beyond human comprehension. These blocks here are home for human habitation. And on the area I'm travelling, which is inside the city itself, is just piles and piles of, I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, I presume I'd describe it as dereliction. But I think that would be a good idea. Just pure dereliction. but I'm still trying to get to the centre of Casablanca. Confusion is the only word I can use. The stink is incredible. People, as they walk, they just drop everything they've got, they don't want, just literally on the streets. I just watch people just dumping rubbish. You have to have a horn, literally, here to even be able to operate yourself. Well, I'm still traveling through, literally, streets of complete confusion. Again, I ask myself, how is it possible for humans to be living in this way? What I mean by that is that is this real home? I just don't know. I mean, it's not that I live in the countryside and I feel it's a privilege. It's sometimes extremely difficult, and but here is just a life of confusion. The streets of Casablanca, strange. A strange existence. And then you just go on to a thing like fashion. There seems to be no fashion sense at all, as if fashion is something that, well, it fundamentally isn't. Well, I'm now getting closer to the, should I say, city centre. It is absolute bedlam. I've started to enjoy using my horn, which gives me at least some pleasure as I go along, but it's just mental. Well, I'm waterside central Casablanca to the degree. But even this area, I gotta say, I don't feel particularly safe. It may not be a crime-ridden area, but it's just how people live. And even just next door to these buildings, dereliction. I can't see that this is enjoyable life, but maybe I'm completely and utterly wrong. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's got their own opinion. The people are very nice, but it's a concrete metropolis, basically. And there's beautiful countryside, and again, beautiful people. But I still look at life in a different way than most. I simply don't understand. That's the nice way of putting it. I don't understand how we kill the planet that we're sitting on a daily basis. Pollution, just everything. Let's not worry about, let's say, global warming, which is obviously a problem, but it's not that. It's the pollution in which we have 70% of our whole surface area is sea and ocean, and I'm taking you down to see the ocean now, and our rivers and estuaries and streams and everything pour into that ocean. Our vile waste. We don't seem to care that the ocean's dying. The fusion of all of the rubbish we put in there is killing everything. And once the ocean's dead, human life will follow. Doesn't matter what you say. Anyway, let's walk over to our most treasured possession, the sea. And as I look across here now, I can see the container boats. Just sitting out there waiting. Whoa. And as I travel around the world, and I've been many places, and I've seen in the middle of nowhere, I travel to a beautiful island, and then you walk along the coast and it's just littered. You look across the ocean and think that there are 3.5 million fishing boats. There's countries that just basically pour their waste into the ocean. If you've got a large boat and it's come to the end of its life, rather than scrap it, you just literally take it into the middle of the ocean and let it sink. There are ghost ships going around and round our oceans, full of waste, full of rubbish, and we simply allow them to just rot. So here we are, the last part of our, what should I say, my road trip to Casablanca from Tangier. But no, I'm not impressed by anything I see of the people. As I say, freedom of expression, freedom of speech is so important, but yet it's being taken away from us. But everywhere I go here, I walk into a supermarket and it's dominated by the conglomerates of our world. If you came back 100 years ago, you wouldn't find virtually no shop in Casablanca that is also in London, Paris, New York, Munich, or even Melbourne. The conglomerates have literally taken over, and what they produce is on the shelf of every 7-Eleven and every shop across the world. Nothing special anymore. And those things that are being produced by people that are special are slowly diminishing because they simply can't compete, and people don't simply care anymore. The village butcher has left, the tailor, the candlestick maker, it doesn't matter what it is. Look at those boats out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, just 12 huge boats just sitting there. And of course the mosque. Well, I'm now going on my way to Algeria to see and to try and understand the humans that are on this planet and what we're doing to it. And as I view again across this concrete metropolis, is this real life? I don't know. It certainly isn't from my perspective.